Good morning, freaks. Thursday, the something of April, can't remember what date it is. Now here's the thing, I usually know what kind of mind frame I'm in by the kinds of music that I want to listen to and listen to throughout the day. And the last couple of days, all I've wanted to listen to is Linkin Park, and that usually tells me one thing, and that one thing is that I'm probably a little bit pissed off and angry and maybe resentful and, you know, any other kind of negative thing that you can think of. I don't know why, just Linkin Park seems like that kind of, you know, soothing song material for me. I don't know. And you know me, I like to show the bad times as much as the good times. And someone commented the other day on the video and they said, you know, as much as the making running look easy content is fun and enjoyable, sometimes it's not as relatable as the struggle and the grind and what you have to do to get yourself through the days when things aren't going really all that well. So on Sunday, I planned out all of my training for the week and I thought, you know what, this might be the week. This Thursday could be the day that I finally get back to doing some sort of, you know, running sessions. And so I scheduled like a 3 or a 4 times 1K, nice and, you know, just picking it up a little bit. And on Sunday, I actually had a really good running day and I had had no hip pain for a couple of days at that point. So that was a very good day. And I was making decisions based on that good day, which is all well and good. But today and yesterday, the pain has not been that ideal in the hip. You know, I've not had pain when running. It's more so just been every other time of the day apart from running, and it's super draining, okay? It's super draining and annoying. So what did I decide to do in the end? Well, I made the correct decision, and that decision was to just do the workout anyway and suffer the... I didn't do that. What I did was I had a rest day and I did some light rehab work at the gym. Today is about personal growth and not making the same mistakes over and over and over and making the right decisions. Let's get it, boys. Woo! All I want to do is mind my own business and just run 100K weeks and everything be good again. Look, here's the thing. Emotions are really powerful drivers for change, you know. When you're really, really emotional about some sort of goal or some sort of thing that you're working towards, it can be that catalyst for massive change. But when making decisions around running and running related stuff, especially dealing with injuries or not achieving goals and stuff, emotions absolutely suck the fun out of everything, okay? What we have to do is completely shut off our emotions when decision making so that we can go from emotional decision making to objective decision making. And to do this, we have to understand what particular emotions actually do to us and how we can get out of it. Like, this is actually my favorite way of helping people understand what's going on with them when I'm working as a physio, okay? What I do is I objectively show them what they can and can't do. And I prove to them, without them having to rely on their own emotions and things, objectively, whether they can go and do that race or not, or whether they can go and start running again after a rehab program or something. We prove it to ourselves objectively rather than relying on emotions and how we feel that will probably dictate a negative decision-making process and probably something that we'll regret doing in the future, okay? Emotions are really important sometimes, but also really crap in other times. Okay, running emotions 101. These aren't actual kind of emotions. They're more just put in a framework of things that go wrong with running and how people actually react to them, or thought patterns that make people do the wrong thing. So number 1, fun, okay? Running is so unbelievably fun that sometimes people can't actually restrain themselves from doing too much running, and sometimes running is the only thing in people's lives that is actually fun and fulfilling, and so they tend to want to get their mental kind of happiness and stimulus from running over the potential physical downsides of doing too much running or running when you're injured. You know, I've felt like that in the past too, where running realistically was the thing that really just set up my day perfectly. And it was way more fun than everything else in my life. And so obviously I'm just gonna get carried away. And that is like a running emotion that we have to actually tame. Now the next one is ego, okay? Our self-identity and what we think about ourselves, what we think that we're capable of, is a really big danger. You know, a lot of people out there tend to have this certain thing in their brain, like, I'm supposed to be this kind of runner, or I'm supposed to do this in some certain training session, or I need to run this amount per week, 100 Ks per week. This is what they've attached their kind of self-identity to. And if they can't do that, or they're finding it really hard, their ego will force them out of the door to get things done in a very dangerous and probably not very productive way. You know, ego can be as simple as wanting to prove something to someone else, or even just to yourself, and using that to dictate your decision making and your emotional decision making. Okay, if you think that, you know, oh, this person will be really incredibly impressed by this workout that I do, and so you go hammer it out, even though it's really, really hard for you, and it's not even, you know, doing or giving you the right stimulus for that particular workout. That is your ego making you to make decisions. Making you to make decisions, yes. That is good grammar. The next one is something that I have really struggled with in the past, and that is impulsivity. You know, in the moment, I'll make just split decisions as to what I'm going to do on this particular day, depending on how I feel. And most of the time, well, not recently anyway, because I've gotten better at this now that I've identified what it feels like and the things that I say to myself to get into this impulsive mindset. But, you know, in the past, I would, on the day, make my workout harder for no reason other than, you know, I was just impulsive on that day. Or, you know, at lunchtime at work, I would have a spare 20 minutes and I would, even though I was cooked from the weekend or whatever, I would go and just run as many Ks as I could in that half an hour block for no other reason other than I'm just really impulsive. And sometimes that happens. That can be very bad, especially if you're injured, or you're, you know, walking the fine line of being injured, or you're starting to get a little bit overtrained, or, you know, this can work the other way as well, where you impulsively just say, you know, I'm just not going to do my workout today. And the next one is obviously FOMO. It is fear of missing out. You know, how many times have you been really pissed off because you didn't do a particular race, and, you know, you decide, you know, I'm just going to have to go and do something to make up for it, or, you know, I'm going to push my workouts because I don't want to miss out on this particular goal. Things like that is all fear of missing out, and that can be very bad and can be one of these running emotions that will make you do things that you're probably not ready for. You know, me going and running a marathon right now would be stupid, okay? And if I sit down on the weekend and I watch the London Marathon, I'll probably deep down in my soul go, oh, I want to go run a marathon. How fun does that look? Fear of missing out. So how do we combat these in a very logical way to make them a little bit more objective, or talk ourselves out of doing things that are just emotionally driven and objectively make no sense? Fun, okay? It's too much fun. All we have to do is show restraint, okay? Just make the decision when you realize, you know, this is the only thing today that's gonna be really fun for me, so I'm gonna have to absolutely smash it, okay? Show restraint and understand that too much of a good thing can be a bad thing, okay? Too much of a good thing can eventually become a bad thing. Don't ruin running, okay? Don't get yourself injured because you're having way too much fun. It's not ideal. The next one, of course, ego. Just understand that you don't have to prove anything to anyone, because at the end of the day, no one actually cares what you do. They're not even watching what you do. They're too busy comparing what you've done to themselves, okay? That's what everyone's doing. Everyone's comparing to each other and themselves, and it's a very silly thing, and I do it all the time. But I'm trying not to, because it makes me make decisions or makes me feel certain emotions that I don't really like, you know? Another way to eliminate your ego is to objectively look at your training. Make sure you don't overdo it by focusing on the minimum effective dose. How little amount of training can you do that's going to give you a similar goal achievement without you constantly trying to overdo it to live up to some certain standard that you've given yourself or someone else has got that you're trying to achieve? Things like that. Very important. The last thing is that you deserve nothing, okay? Your ego will tell you that after doing a certain thing, you need to have a certain outcome, and that's just not how reality works, you know? You don't have to necessarily achieve the goal you've been working towards. That's your ego probably telling you that you should, okay? Just like it will be your ego telling you to continue training, even though objectively it's not working out, or it hurts, or you're getting an injury or something, but you're trying to live up to this certain standard of yourself in your own brain. There we go. Impulsivity. What we have to focus on, and this is what I say to myself all the time, live to fight another day. I don't know if that's like a James Bond thing, but live to fight another day, okay? That is how you counteract impulsivity. You go to try and do something, or you go to do something, you need to say no. And you need to say to yourself, no, I need to live to fight another day, okay? Because less is more. And the last one, FOMO. Just stop looking at what other people are doing. Stop thinking about it. Just completely turn off if it's going to give you these negative emotions, and it's going to allow you to just stop thinking so emotionally about certain decisions and just be completely objective. And this last bit is something that I've actually had as my phone background for a long period of time, because I find it really helps, okay? I will have my day where, you know, everything goes well. I'll have that amazing race result. I will have my day. But today is just not my day. It's someone else's day, and they're having their day and it's all good. I'm gonna focus on working towards my own day objectively and not trying to emotionally neck myself, okay? Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It's a bit of a tricky one, okay? Get around it. Stop thinking so emotionally about your running. Be a little bit more objective, and also take a day off every now and then. Stop thinking about running sometimes, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.